Good morning. I'm happy to see everybody here today. Today is September the 11th, 2017. 16 years ago this morning, on a day very much like today, death came from the skies. An assault on America, on civilization, on humanity, unlike anything we have ever seen since perhaps the end of World War II, was delivered to the doorsteps of the United States between the hours of 8 and 10:30 in the morning, Tuesday, September 11th, 2001. Hijacked planes smashed into the World Trade Center, destroying those buildings and killing nearly 3,000 people. A plane smashed into the Pentagon in Washington, D.C., killing well over 150 in the Pentagon. Two Lackawanna County natives died in that event on that day. But over the skies of Pennsylvania, in Shanksville, heroes arose. Americans stood up and fought back. Today, we're here to honor their memory, remember their courage, and not let their sacrifices and the sacrifices of the soldiers who fought and continue to fight in the war on terror be in vain. I would like everyone now to rise. Rabbi Moshe Sachs, the spiritual leader of Temple Israel, will deliver invocation and stay standing for the national anthem by our committee member Ashley DeFleece and the Pledge of Allegiance led by judges Julia Munley and Tom Munley. Rabbi?
Thank you. Like most Americans, I saw the horror on television early in the morning. But actually, I wasn't even in the country. We were living in Canada at the time. And I remember the reaction we had when we saw the towers go up in flames. We who were American-born immediately called each other to commiserate. I have a cousin who's an FBI agent, retired, but worked on Wall Street. And within a week, we were able to connect, and he told me his role as a first responder to the horror down at the Twin Towers. And I remember being very moved by his courage and those of his compatriots, whether they were law enforcement, the fire companies, rescue workers, emergency services. And I think we all understood that that day changed us. Our situation today in America, even when we travel, has changed because of 9/11. We should acknowledge that, but at the same time, we honor the memory of those who died at the hands of terrorism, but also those who gave their lives to rescue and to perform acts of courage. Let us pray. Ribono Shel Olam, Lord and Master of the universe, today is both a sad day and a day of inspiration. We remember those whose lives were taken needlessly, but we also remember those who helped to save lives and those who performed acts of courage. Please give us the strength to understand what has gone on, to face the evil in our world with resolve, but to offer love, companionship, peace, and thoughtfulness as we go forth in this world to not only honor those who have died, but honor the living as well. We do this in your name, and we say, Amen.
Ashley DeFleece.
Reset. Arms.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleam?
Judges Tom Mundley and Julia Mundley will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor guard. Order. Arms. Parade. Rest.
A day we will never forget. Even if we try, we just can't forget. 16 years ago today, it's still, and you may sit down, certainly, it's still just as traumatic, and the hurt is just as raw to this day for each person there, the victims, their loved ones, and every American and beyond. We awoke, and it was the clearest of days, a day like today, a Tuesday. Everyone here and everyone you speak to remembers exactly where they were and what they were doing. At home, at work, in their offices, engaged in the most simple, mundane tasks, so important at that moment. What we learned was the unthinkable was going on, and life as we knew it had changed dramatically forever. Planes slamming into the towers, into the Pentagon, and another believed to be on the way to our capital in Washington, D.C., but landed in our dearest Commonwealth. And that clear day turned into a smoky, smoky day with tarred skies and utter destruction and chaos on the ground. Images that we can never shake from our minds and never will and must never shake. And I pray that even though we cannot change the past, that with constant love for each other, no matter what race, what religion, what nation we are from, that we promise individually, today and together, to bring love, light, and goodness into this world, into our worlds each and every day, and be the change every day with whomever you encounter, so that hate is melted away from our world.
Thanks so much, Judge Mundley. And I want to say, Congressman Clark, Joe Wexler, Jimmy Connors, Rabbi, I saw Patrick O'Malley, he's here, and Charlie. I just want to say this. Judge Mundley just spoke about 2001. I just want to say that my college roommate, things happen in life. My college roommate had a son that I thought very much of. He was a great guy. He went to Princeton University. Not many people could go to Princeton. And I used to say to my college roommate, how's that future president doing? He graduated from Princeton. He's working in New York City. To make a long story short, he got killed at the World Trade Center. He was 26 years old. You know what? He didn't even work there. He was just going there to say goodbye to a friend of his who was leaving work. And they had a little coffee clash, and was on his way over. He was with another guy, and the other guy said, I'm going to stop for a coffee. And he said, well, I'll meet you over there. The guy who stopped for a coffee was perfect. The guy, my roommate's son who walked in got killed. And that's life. That's what happens. And it breaks my heart. Not a day goes by when I don't think of incidents like that. So don't forget the people of 2001. I'm sure all of you knew somebody or had somebody you cared about. So remember that. And Judge Mundley, thank you for your nice words. And thank you, Charlie Spano.
Thanks, Charlie.
Thank you, judges. I just want to acknowledge a couple of folks that are here. Joe Wexler from Scranton City Council, former mayors David Wenzel and Jimmy Connors, and especially the cadre of cadets from the Lackawanna College, future police officers, plus our firemen from the city of Scranton. When everyone was running down the street, away from the buildings, men and women like the firemen and the cadets were running to the buildings to save lives, and at the cost of their own. Nearly 500 uniformed personnel of New York City, the transit police, the city police, firemen, EMTs died when those buildings came down. We owe them a great deal of gratitude that we can never repay. Thank you, and good luck in your future endeavors, cadets. I'd like now to ask Kendra Lynn to come up to introduce a person we are very honored to have with us today to speak. I first met this young man when my nephew was in the 109th Infantry. He's now a captain in the United States Army and has been friends with our main speaker for years. Kendra?
Good morning, everyone. Oh, that sun is like right there. I first heard of Earl a couple years ago. Talia Walsh, she does this great ride for her fiance, Jan Arganish, who was killed in Afghanistan in 2007. And since then, I don't think we've seen each other, but I follow him on Facebook. He's like running marathons, and I'm over watching it on TV thinking, oh, he's running marathons, doing Tough Mudders, and I'm sitting here eating chips on the television watching him. So he's inspirational. He inspires me by watching him, what he's done. He has suffered great loss since 9/11, not only him personally, but also, his tragic death of his brother. So it's an honor to be able to introduce him. So Earl is a 9-year veteran under the Pennsylvania National Guard as an infantryman. During his time in the service, Granville served in support of Operation Joint Forge in Bosnia, Operation Iraqi Freedom, and Operation Enduring Freedom in Afghanistan. In the summer of 2008, while on patrol in Zormat, Afghanistan, his vehicle was hit by a roadside bomb, which resulted in the amputation of his left leg through his knee. His comrades, Specialist Derek Holland of Wind Gap, Pennsylvania, and Major Scott Haggerty of Stillwater, Oklahoma, were killed in action. He is now team member for the veteran run and own nonprofit Operation Enduring Warrior and the lead ambassador of the Veteran Found clothing line, Oscar Mike. Earl also speaks publicly about the importance of finding help in battling mental adversity after the passing of his twin brother, Staff Sergeant Joseph Granville, who took his own life December of 2010 while still on active duty. That just breaks my heart. Earl is enrolled at the University of Scranton for Counseling and Human Services. He's been featured on the TV series Spartan Ultimate Team Challenge on NBC and was awarded the JCI Toyo Award for the Personal Improvement and/or Accomplishment class of 2017. He medically retired from the Army holding the rank of Staff Sergeant, earning some military awards such as the Combat Infantry Badge and the Purple Heart. I'd like to introduce Earl Granville.
Thank you, Charles. Morning, Scranton. How you doing? As you can tell, summer's over now, right? On September 11, 2001, 62-year-old Rick Rishkorla was a veteran of both the British and American Army, working in corporate security for Morgan Stanley on the 44th floor of the South Tower. When American Flight 11 hit the tower next to him, Port Authority ordered Rishkorla to keep his employees at their desks. He ignored that order. He grabbed his bullhorn, walkie-talkie, and his cell phone and began systematically ordering Morgan Stanley employees to evacuate. During the evacuation, Rishkorla calmly reassured people, singing God Bless America and Men of Harlech over the bullhorn as they walked down the stairs. Between songs, Rishkorla called his wife, telling her, "Stop crying. I have to get these people out to safely. If something should happen to me, I want you to know I've never been happier. You've made my life." After successfully evacuating most of Morgan Stanley's 2,700 employees, he went back into the building. When one of his colleagues told him he too had to evacuate the World Trade Center, Rishkorla replied, as soon as I make sure everybody else is out. He was last seen on the 10th floor, heading upward shortly before the South Tower collapsed at 9:59 a.m. I want to remind everybody today that today is not about the armed forces. Our job in the armed forces is for tragedies like this happen unexpectedly. We're told to keep this country safe and be told where we're supposed to go. But it's people like the NYPD, the fire department in New York City, and the EMT that day. I'm sure planes hitting the World Trade Center wasn't in their manual of what to do. And I think, Charlie, you summed it up the best. People didn't run away. They ran right back into those towers to help people, not knowing what the outcome is going to be and risking their lives. And that's who we are as Americans, the pride we have for one another. Today is a day for the fallen members of Flight 93, our casualties of the Pentagon, and the heroes of Manhattan. Friends of mine like Stephen Reed, who was an NYPD detective, who is now still serving today, not as a New York City cop, but right now volunteering his time down in Texas with Team Rubicon, helping the people from Hurricane Harvey. And Emily Prezano, she was an EMT of New York City, who now resides in upstate New York. And Tom Clappy, a friend of mine who now resides in Northern Virginia, who is part of the New York Fire Department. And Al Granville, United States Coast Guard, who was stationed in Staten Island during that fateful day. All these people right here, it's about them. And this big backstab we had on that fateful day, unexpectedly happening. And all the tragedy that happened, I want you to remind everybody out there that no matter what happens, we're still going to look after each other when death is staring us in the face, just as these ladies and gentlemen did on that day. And no matter what it takes, they went into those burning buildings to save people, because that's who we are as Americans. I'd like to end with a quote by John F. Kennedy, and I'm sure you all know it. Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you could do for your country. And that doesn't mean everybody has to go sign up and join the military or start building houses. But it's those random acts of kindness that keeps us afloat. We're seeing a divide in this nation, unfortunately. Let's try to squash that divide and all be Americans once again. You guys tracking? Scranton, thank you so much for having me. Always think of Vietnam vet. Charlie, thank you.
We're grateful to have with us the Scranton High Chorus, who will now provide us with a selection. And then we'll get to the always moving Fireman's Bell ceremony, a ritual dedicated to deceased firefighters. Lisa?
Sweet freedom song.
let's break the sound prolonged. Let freedom ring, let it ring for America. Let freedom ring, let it ring through our song. Let freedom ring in our hearts, let love abide. Of the I sing, let freedom ring. America, America, God shed His grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. Let freedom ring, let it ring for America. Let freedom ring, let it ring through our song. Let freedom ring in our hearts, let love abide. Of thee I sing, let freedom ring. America, America, let freedom ring.
Wonderful, thank you. I'd now like to introduce the Vice Chairman of the 9/11 Memorial Committee of Lackawanna County, the sitting County Commissioner, Patrick O'Malley. Patrick will introduce the bell ceremony. Always a moving event.
Thanks, Charlie. Ladies and gentlemen, before I start, our firemen, our EMTs, our policemen, our servicemen, our veterans, I'd like to applaud all of them for what they do. You know, there was September 10, 2001, which was America on a normal day. And then there was September 11th, 2001, where bad came across our country and evil was in the skies. You know, you think about the amount of citizens that died. There was the World Trade Center and at the Pentagon that day. 996 people died, complete. That's a lot of people. A lot of people, a lot of families hurt, a lot of lives destroyed, a lot of bad memories. But then get back to a little bit what Charlie was talking about. With 343 firemen that perished, 23 New York police officers, 37 Port Authority officers, and 2 paramedics. Now think of this. When they rode up to the towers, there's smoke bellowing out of the towers. There's pieces of aircraft all over the place. There's papers flying all over the place. People are screaming. People are already burned up coming out of the building. And you gotta think in the back of their minds, as they're entering the building, they had to be thinking, you know, this is something that I never, ever would ever believe that I'd ever see. And knowing that when they were going in there, the chances were, like Charlie had said, that they were never coming back out. But they went in there to do this job. And they saved as many people as they possibly could. And they gave their lives in that moment. You know, and they were giving their life, they were saving people till the moment that that building fell in and the other one pancaked down. And you know, the horror of anyone that had a family member or relatives in the police department, fire department, EMT, when the towers collapsed, I can't even imagine what the thoughts were going through their minds when they were seeing it on TV or maybe they were on site. Knowing that chances are that no one survived. Some survived, but not many. But at that moment, we were defending America. Our people, our heroes that are here today, were running into the building to save people. But what was really incredible about that day was Flight 93. Now think about Flight 93. The first 3 aircrafts 2 hit the World Trade Center and 1 hit the Pentagon. They had no time to react. They thought it was just some kind of hijack. You know, you hear about hijacks. They hijack the plane, they land the plane, they make demands, blah, 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 blah. Not everybody had cell phones, but most people had cell phones, or they had the phones in the plane. They probably thought it was just going to be something to be over with in a couple hours. And it wasn't. They used the planes to murder. But Flight 93 was different. A lot of time had elapsed. And these people were warned by their loved ones that they had to do something. And now think about this. They got to be really scared. Now, these guys have box cutters. They're threatening everybody. They think they already slashed somebody up. Everybody's really nervous. And they got together and they breached that cockpit. Now think about what's going through their minds. Now this is life or death. Your family member just told you, you got to do it. The 3 planes just crashed. People are dying all over the place. You have to save your lives. You got to save America. And that's what they did. They ended the attack that day, which probably would have killed another couple thousand people, by stopping that plane, crashing that plane, and in turn killing themselves. But that's what America's about. It's about the hearts of everybody that's sitting here, all of our servicemen, all of our first responders. There isn't a person in this audience that wouldn't give their lives for another person. And I'd like to thank everyone for what they do, especially our emergency service personnel. Because when we're sleeping in our beds at night, safe, they're making sure we're safe. They're making sure we're safe. And if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't have the freedoms of having this incredible memorial event today. So thank you to everyone that's here. And God bless America. Thank you very much. It was one of those moments. Now, without further ado, our chief of the Scranton Fire Department, Patrick DeSarno, will say some brief comments, and he will announce the bell ceremony.
Hi, good morning, everybody. It's great to see everybody here. Normally, Commissioner O'Malley asked me to say a few words, and normally I decline because, so yeah, be warned, that means I'm going to say something. Because I don't know what I could add that hasn't been already said or that wouldn't seem trite, so I usually decline. But I was thinking today that, 16 years ago, the American spirit shone through tremendously because we were forced to. And it stayed high for a while. And then it, receded a little bit, and once a year we bring it back up. We show the American spirit and how we care and how we stick together. And now we're showing it again in Texas and in Florida. We're caring. But it seems to always take a tragedy for us to rise up as Americans and get together. And to kind of echo what Sergeant Granville said, it was excellent. I kind of took the thoughts out of my head, Sergeant. I'm just going to implore everybody today to go out and just do one act of random kindness. Say a kind word to somebody. And just if we can just keep perpetrating that throughout our lives, every day do a random act of kindness for everybody, I think we'd be much better off. I think we'd be feeling a lot better about ourselves and be a much kinder, gentler world out there. And the hate would be gone, Judge, you're right. I think so. So without further ado, this is just a little history of the fire department and our bell ceremony. During times like these, we seek strong symbols to give us a better understanding of our feelings of sadness and as a reflection of the devotion our comrades had for their duty. The sounding of taps is a strong symbol which gives honor and respect to those who have served so well. So also is the sounding of a bell. In the past, as firefighters began their tour of duty, it was the bell that signaled the beginning of that day's shift. Throughout the day and night, each alarm was sounded by a bell, which summoned these brave souls to fight fires and to place their lives in jeopardy for the good of their fellow citizens. And when the fire was out and the alarm had come to an end, it was the bell that signaled to all the completion of the call. When a firefighter died, paying the supreme sacrifice, it was the mournful toll of the bell that solemnly announced a comrade's passing. We utilize these traditions as symbols which reflect honor and respect for those who have given so much and who have served so well. To symbolize the devotion that these brave souls had for their duty, a special signal of 3 rings, 3 times, was adopted from Roman times. These 3 tolls represent the end of our comrades' duty. Their tour is complete. They will be returning to quarters. And so, to those who have selflessly dedicated their lives to serving others, their tasks completed, their duties well done, to our comrades, their last alarm, they are going home. Today, arms.
Marine, color guard, and hook. Peace and arms.
Order, arms.
Color guard, order, arms.
Thank you, everybody. Be kind. Thank you.
Thank you, Pat. Let me be seated. I don't want to forget about acknowledging and thanking again for 16 years. The Northeast Detachment of the Marine Corps League has been here providing the flags, the firing salute, and taps, which we'll hear a bit later on. I would like now to introduce Congressman Matt Cartwright of the 17th Congressional District for his thoughts on this day. Congressman?
Thank you, Charlie, for inviting me to speak today. And thank you to all of you who came out this morning. You had the choice of staying home and doing something else, but you came out and chose to honor the memory of those who died on 9/11, and to honor our nation for what this day means to us. It's always a somber occasion when we gather together on this day every year to remember those who lost their lives, a day that, as Patrick O'Malley said, changed us as a nation forever. As John F. Kennedy said, tempered us by war. No words will ever make up for the loss of the loved ones. And today I ask you not only to mourn the great losses that our nation felt, but also to celebrate the remarkable strength it took to get up in the morning the next day on September 12, to rebuild, to look toward a brighter, safer future for our nation. I stand here before you in front of this wonderful, remarkable memorial to our police, our firefighters, and our first responders. Think of what they went through that day. And it's an honor to be appearing this morning at the same podium as Sergeant Earl Granville, an enduring inspiration to all of us. What he went through, losing a limb, losing his brother to suicide, and in spite of all of that, picking himself up and making himself stronger and serving as an inspiration to everyone, not only here in Lackawanna County, but across the United States. Earl, it's a privilege to be with you this morning. And you know, he does have that combat infantryman's badge. If you ever see it, Judge Munley has one. Occasionally he wears it. It's a long rectangular medal, the blue with a blue background and a silver rifle across its length. Whenever you see that, that means that man or woman was being shot at for your freedom, for your civil liberties. If you ever see anyone wearing that medal, thank them for everything they did for you. We remember and we honor on this day the police, the firefighters, the first responders, the war fighters who are waging the global war on terrorism that 9/11 kind of woke us up to. let us redouble on this day our commitment and our reverence to these people, the police, the firefighters, the first responders, the war fighters, those soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, and Coast Guard members who are waging the global war on terrorism, as we remember and honor the resilience of our great nation in the wake of such a grave tragedy. We realize that the same resilience and determination will bring us together in the aftermath of the devastating weather that we've been experiencing in many parts of the country right now, as we commemorate those that we lost in a terrible act of violence and all of the first responders who risked their lives for others. I also hope you will remember this tenacity with which we Americans banded together in the days that followed September 11. Thank you all so very much.
Thank you, Congressman. Thank you very much. We'll now hear from the Scranton High Chorus. Thank you so much, Chorus. Kendra? Kendra's going to read the names of the deceased of Lackawanna County. Prior to that, I would ask you all now to stand. It is 8:46 in the morning, September 11, 2017. Exactly 16 years ago at this moment, the first plane hit the first tower. Thank you, Kendra.
Color guard, put
That song was absolutely beautiful. It was great. Like Charlie said, my name is Kendra Lynn. I am the sister of Staff Sergeant Stephen Tudor, who was killed in action in Iraq 10 years ago this year. Before I read the names from Lackawanna County, I just want to say that the last 10 years have been very hard. It's so hard to believe that Stephen has been gone that long. Not only Stephen, but 3 other names that I read today, all were killed in action 10 years ago. There's something about 10 years, I'm not sure what it is, but 10 years was extremely heart-wrenching. The years go by, but the emptiness in our hearts seems to never fill up, even after 10 years. It is important, no matter where we are, to pay tribute to those that lost their lives on that faithful 9/11 day, and to also pay tribute to the many thousands that have given their lives since that day to oppose those that would not want to take away what we value most, which is our freedom. So as you reflect on where you were 16 years ago, the moment you found out, the faces of those around you, and your feelings then and now, remember when you saw the flags flying from bridges and houses, the people gathering together for comfort and prayer. Remember the lives after 9/11 that were taken too soon to protect our freedom. Those we refer to as fallen soldiers. Those who have died in service to their country, but really they are our heroes. They loved not their life unto death, but gave it up for honor and sacrifice to their fellow men and women. The unsung heroes who show us what love looks like and what true honor and bravery is. I will now read the names of our heroes from Lackawanna County. Sergeant First Class George Pugliese, Pennsylvania Army National Guard, killed in action September 28, 2005. Sergeant Eric Slobodnik, Pennsylvania Army National Guard, killed in action September 28, 2005. Lance Corporal Dennis Veter, United States Marines, killed in action March 9, 2007. Staff Sergeant Stephen Tudor, United States Army, killed in action April 21, 2007. Sergeant Jan Agranish, Pennsylvania Army National Guard, killed in action August 27, 2007. Master Sergeant Scott Ball, Pennsylvania Army National Guard, killed in action August 27, 2007. Lance Corporal Larry Johnson, United States Marines, killed in action February 18, 2010. Staff Sergeant Patrick Dolphin, United States Marine, killed in action July 31, 2011. The 2 natives from Lackawanna County that were killed on September 11, 2001, Laura Lee DeFazio Marabito and Jerry Moran Jr. These are my heroes. 10 years gone, Stephen, but as long as you are remembered, you are not truly gone. You simply change duty assignments and are amongst our very best. I love you and miss you more than you will ever know. Thank you.
I would like now to ask Congressman Cartwright, Judge Munley, Rabbi, Joe Wexler, and Frank D'Angelo, our liaison to boroughs for the 9/11 committee, Chiefs DeSarno to lay the wreath at the monument. Patrick also from the committee, and Kendra.
Honor Guard, present arms.
Right up in front by the monument. Up by the monument. Right up by the monument. Perfect. Take a minute. Rabbi.
Order. Arms.
We'll have benediction by Rabbi Sachs, which will be followed by the Marine Corps firing salute and taps. Rabbi.
Ribono Shel Olam, Lord and Master of the universe, we thank you for this gathering, for those who arranged it to honor those fallen heroes, civilians, military, service people, first responders, and to honor the spirit of our country, the greatest country in the world. Please inspire us with the strength to carry on, to build a better society, to create a world of peace in our time, and let us say, amen.
Honor guard. Head hook. Marine firing team. Board. Arms. Ready. Aim. Fire. Aim. Fire. Aim. Fire. Recover. Recover. Present. Arms. Order. Arms. Parade. Rest.
Thank you all very much for coming, and let us never forget and never again.
There wasn't a thing.